Hi guys, Danielle from Danielle's Homemade Products. I'm getting ready to start on my homemade unpaper towels. The first thing that I need to do is determine what size they need to be based on the fabric itself. It has already been washed and dried. I did not iron it just because of the type of materials that it is. It didn't really get wrinkled like regular fabric would, so I didn't bother with that stuff, just to save myself some time. So now what I need to do is match up the fabrics and see what their size is now that they've been pre-washed, because some fabrics like the flannel do tend to shrink when they've been washed. I'm here in the entryway just because it gives me a little bit more floor space and I'm not interfering with Nana watching her show, which is, she's watching private practice right now, I think. So I'm going to match the fabrics up to see if one is longer / wider than the other and trim them both to match. And then from there I'll measure it and to see how many I can get out as evenly as possible so that they're all the same size and utilizing as much of the fabric with as little waste as possible. So you may have a hard time seeing me, and I'm going to apologize because I've got to stand up to do this part. And I'm going to match the fabrics good sides facing each other. That way I can cut them together when the time comes and I don't have to redo that part of it. I know the last time I made these, I didn't pre-wash the fabric. And then when I washed them after the first time I used them, the flannel shrunk and I had a bunch of bunching with the terry side. So I didn't want that to be a problem with these ones, since these are going to be a Christmas gift. And you gotta make gifts perfect. If they're for yourself, it's not a big deal, but if they're not for yourself, you want them to be perfect. And I started out with 3 yards of each. I don't want to step on these later. So we'll see what the final measurement is now that it's been washed and dried as I meet up the material. Once I've got everything matched up, I'll then cut off any excess, if there's any excess on a side or lengthwise, and then I'll measure that. So I'll come back once I've got this all matched up. Go get my daughter from school, so I've got the fabric laid out now. I need to trim along the edge and just a little bit off the bottom and the top to make them even, and then I will measure them, so I'll be back. So my fabric measures 103 inches long and 41.5 inches wide, so I'm going to do 10 by 10 just to make it a nice even number and make it easier to cut the fabric basically. So I'll be cutting them 10 inches wide, and then I'll get four from each strip, so to speak. I probably will cut them this way along the short side just because I don't have enough space. Don't walk on my fabric.
I'm not going to, Mommy.
I don't have my big cutting mat here or a big ruler because my big ruler broke. So I'm going to have to fold the fabric up while trying not to kill a kid and wrapping her in the fabric. But I'm going to have to fold it up and cut it into strips first, and then I'll cut it into individual pieces. So I'll be back when I've got everything cut.
Hey guys!
Sky wants to say hi. Oh, this is going to be a long day. Alright guys, I'll be back. The fabric in half, and then I fold it in half again, and I'm going to try and make this work for cutting it into strips. And I'll go ahead and record me doing it if I can manage to pull it off. So, let's see. And now that kid doesn't want to stand right in front of me, oh, this is going to be fun because I can't use my rotary cutter. Fabric's too thick. my hands. Well, if I've calculated right, I should get about 40, which is exciting to me because then I can use this for 2 Christmas presents, which is exciting. My hands hurting though. Okay. Alrighty. Try to bring in a little closer. Without knocking my phone out. And I should be able to get 4 paper towels out of each of these strips. So now it's just a matter of cutting each one itself. Get a replacement long one.
Mom.
One thing that's nice about these is they don't have to be absolutely perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Are those rags or tails? Towels.
They're gonna be, you know, Mommy's gray and white paper towels that I made. That's what these are gonna be. Stop it, I'm recording. I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't make noise with the dog cage.
Sorry, I'm just gonna...
Just to make it a little bit easier so I can cut in one stroke, I'm gonna fold them in half. There, now my ruler will cover the whole distance. Okay, so I've got all of my squares cut. Sorry, they're still attached to the tripod. So there are those. My scraps, are part of them anyway, are right there ready to go in the trash. Sky's already stole quite a bit of them, but there's my pile. And I'll be back once I've got you set up on the machine. Thanks. Danielle again, back. It's day 2 of making the unpaper towels. I've got my machine set up. Sorry, I was trying to adjust it so you could see. I didn't have an exact match thread-wise, but I did have 2 different shades of purple, both that match and go with the colors that are in the fabrics. So I've got the lighter purple in my bobbins and the darker purple up on top on my thread, and I do have 4 extra bobbins made just so that I didn't have to stop mid-process and redo bobbins, because that's a pain in the ass and time-consuming when you have to stop and do it every 2 minutes, which is how it feels like when you're in the middle of making them. So what I've got is my stack of fabric here. Again, they're still right side spacing. I'll sew them almost all the way around, and then I'll turn them right side in and sew around the edge of them again. I don't pay as much attention to these being like perfectly matching as long as I can get all the way around without any problems. I don't usually, not usually that anal about it, because honestly I'm not the best at this whole sewing thing. I'm still a newbie, so to speak. But I don't start on the end, because I learned that one from making the last ones. It's a pain in the ass to start when you turn them inside or right side out when you start on an end. And I don't, like I said, I don't have any set amount of seam allowance that I get put in it. I just line up the edge of the fabric with the edge of my foot, because it's easier for me to keep it in line then. So, and I don't have it on anything special, just a regular straight stitch. I've got my tension at 4 and my stitch length at 2. So again, nothing fancy. When I get to the end, I just lift my needle up. It's easier than anything else. And then I'll just continue around the other 3 sides. And see, they're not perfect already, but I'm okay with that. Because when you turn it right side in, you won't be able to tell anyway, so. Or right side out. Why do I keep saying right side in? And I'm just feeling to make sure because the material shifted somewhat on me. They're not exactly even. And that doesn't happen. If you really want to, you can pin them together. There's 40 of these, and if I sat and pinned every one of them together, I would probably decide before I even started sewing that I was done. So, up to you. Now I am going to make sure I leave a section open here on this last side so that I can turn them right side in. I have a little thread cutter thingy on my machine, but my machine's not the newest and it's not quite as sharp anymore. And if I do sometimes, depending on how much extra material, if I've got, say for example, this happens to you, I usually will go through and trim off the excess so it's not as bulky on the inside. But it's really, really up to you. I do usually cut the corners just to make it easier when I'm turning it, so that the corners can be, pretty nice and sharp, or as sharp as possible. Yeah, see, my fabric shifted. So I had more purple on this side, and I had more of the flannel on the other. And that's okay. Like I said, when you turn them right side in, or right side out, did it again, no one's going to know anyway, so it's not a big deal. Gotta find my opening. Here we go. And I usually just poke out the corners as I'm pulling them through. I try to be gentle at the opening anyway, because I don't always leave a very big opening to turn them. Just because the more of an opening that you leave, the more you have to worry about catching when you go back around to around the outside of it. Almost dropped it. But again, that's personal preference. If you need to leave a bigger opening to turn them right side out, feel free. And then what I normally do is I'll tuck that spot, my opening, I'll tuck that under, and then that's where I start stitching my across the top. My scraps I'll clean up later, because I'm going to have probably quite a bit. And again, I just go back all the way around all 4 sides. This helps keep the material in place, give it a little bit more of a finished look. And like I said, if it's not perfect, you could iron these if you wanted to, but I'm always paranoid about ironing some fabrics. Like terry cloth, I imagine would probably be fine. Flannel would be fine because there certainly is clothing made out of the materials. But honestly, the whole point of this is to be something simple and easy and not create any extra work. So if this was like a clothing outfit where, the precise seam was important, that would be a little bit different, but this isn't. This is going to be used as a paper towel, so I am perfectly okay with not ironing it and making sure everything is flat. But for me, sewing it around the outside kind of helps keep the fabric where it's supposed to, so that when I wash it, it's not constantly having to be fixed. These will stay, you'll have to flatten them out, obviously, because like any other towel, they're going to get all bunched up when you wash them, but it'll be a lot easier to flatten them out because you've already taken the time to tell the fabric where it needs to be. I'm going to trim these first sets of threads. And honestly, since I'm not the best at sewing, I don't always end up making it match. So if you can get it to match, wonderful. If I can't, I'm okay with it too, because again, this is something I'm making myself. My friends know I'm putting the time and the effort into it, or whoever's, like my friend who's getting these for Christmas is already aware that she's getting them because I can't keep my mouth shut. But she knows I'm making these. So she, if they're not exactly perfect, it's still, she knows I took the time to make this for her out of her favorite color, as well as, things that she liked. She really likes animal print, so she was excited when I told her what I found. So if you need to make it perfect, if I can make it match up, I will. If not, I'm not going to cry over it. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to stress over it. Just because to me, I'm taking the time to make this for her, but I'm not a perfect sewer either. In a perfect world, I would be, but, we all know this world ain't perfect. And I always seem to get excess thread. It likes to catch on my machine because I tend to do fabrics that are thicker. But here is the finished one. And here is this is the flannel material. This is the terry material. You can use either side, both sides. Fold it. It's big enough. I can fold it in 4s and still fit it in the palm of my hand. So it's giving you basically 8 layers of fabric if you need to use it that way. Or you can use it as a single one. So there's that finished. I'm going to go ahead and finish on with the rest of the 39 that are left. And I'll come back when they're all done. Okay guys, it's about 10 to midnight. I finished about 20 minutes ago roughly. I'm going to have to take my medicine, have a cigarette. But I've got 40 of them, so I'm happy. I have 2 friends who will be very happy at Christmas time, and I will probably roll them up and wrap them with a ribbon. I haven't decided that yet, so that I will figure out. I did run out of the purple thread for the top about 3/4 of the way through, so the last group of them has white thread on the top, but there's not much of a difference. You can't really tell, so it's not a big deal to me. And I don't think they'll care, because again, these will be Christmas presents. So I got 2 friends who will be very happy, but they're all done. Took what felt like forever. And took about an hour to do, roughly between 9 and 10. And I say that because, sometimes it took a little bit longer for one. It took a little bit, less time for another, depending on how quickly I was sewing and getting through them. But it felt like it took forever. I realize it's late, but there were, I did another video in there. Sky did her gingerbread house, which will be, you'll see probably tomorrow, whatever day I post this, you'll see it the next day. As this probably won't get posted till tomorrow, because I still got to go through and edit everything, and it's late. I'm not going to do that tonight, but These are all done, so I'm happy about that. And yeah, I got 2 friends who are going to be very happy at Christmas time this year. So I wasn't sure how many of them I was going to get out of the fabric. Wasn't sure if I was going to get enough of them that I was comfortable doing 2 of them. I probably could actually do 4 if I, wanted to be kind of chintzy. But these are friends, so I'm going to do, 20 of them each. That should give them a good amount. And enough to have some while they're using some, and if others need to be washed. But these are all pre-washed, so they shouldn't shrink. This should be the final size. They should stay this size. So, but they're all done. Yay! Like I said, it's the flannel on one side and the terry cloth on the other, and then it's purple, and then shades of purple in the flannel. So I'm happy. But thanks for watching. Got any questions, let me know. Put them in the comments below. If you like this, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe for more videos. Talk to you soon.